Hi, it's Jenny from A Stamping Journey. I'm a demonstrator in Wollongong, Australia. Welcome. Oh, I have some fun techniques to share with you today. Yes, techniques, not just one. I am going to show you lots of different ways that you can use a detailed embossing folder. I'm using the sunflower embossing folder. This has just been out recently. I am loving it. But you could use any similar embossing folder that has a detailed front, particularly if you've got flowers or leaves. I'm going to show you the techniques. I won't show you completed cards. Well, I won't show you how to finish the completed cards. That can be up to you, but I'll show you some samples that I've made with these techniques that you can copy for later too. So are you ready? So be sure to save the video and you can come back to the ideas later. So let's get started. We'll put this aside for the moment. Number one, let's try distressing. Emboss your cardstock or your paper and then you can distress it. So I've actually used for these two the two-tone embossing folder. I'm going to show you how to do that. But also for this one, I've just used some pattern paper. So just have a fairly plain print. You don't want anything too busy, and very lightly sand it. So I'm going to use the petal pink of the two-tone, this one. I've already embossed it just to save a little time. Look, it's even starting to distress already because it's a lot thinner than cardstock. Of course, you can choose which side you want to use, the embossed side or the debossed side, which is the lower one. We will grab you can use a sanding block. I've just used a small one. If you don't have a sanding block, sometimes your hardware store might have a light sanding block or a little sandpaper. But even if you might go to the beauty section of a store and get a nail sanding block there, it's going to work. You only want something very light and not too textured. So just pressing very lightly over the surface of the detail. Don't press too hard because you'll actually tear holes in it. And just rub smoothly over the detailed image. So you can keep going as much as you like. Keep distressing it. These little dots need a little more pressure. Some can be light, some can be dark. And that you'll keep sanding that as much as you want. It'll look completely different if you use the debossed side. Let's have a look at that. So you're getting a little more sanding, a little more white. That's the thing with the two-tone cardstock. You've got that white core, but you can very easily achieve that with some lightweight pattern paper too. So that is distressing. Right, let's try the next technique. Number two, coloring. Emboss on some white card with your embossing folder and then color it. Now, let me show you what I've done. This one, I've colored with the Stampin' blends, just embossing it. Don't forget to color those flat background areas. It looks like a bit of a sky background. So, and it also really adds depth to your embossing. So I've just gone over with the Stampin' blends. This one, I've actually embossed a different piece of pattern paper. This one's from the Nests of Winter paper. You could try any you want. This one is colored with the sponge daubers, the finger daubers, and ink pads. I'm going to show you how to do that. Just add a little difference. I've just cut a circle piece of the embossed area and I've layered it on a background. You might be able to see I've got the background emboss there too. But you don't have to use the whole panel. And once again, I have colored with the Stampin' Blends in the background. So how did I do that? Just quickly, I have got your embossed piece already. I'm just going to add some scrap piece underneath. Grab your ink pads. I've used Daffodil Delight, Pumpkin Pie, Granny Apple Green, Pecan Pie. So we'll just go through parts of this so you get an idea. Grab your daubers. Now I actually put a label on my colors so I don't contaminate the different colors, but I can use one for different shades of it. I don't need to have one for any all the specific colors. You might like to though. So I do have a light green, dark green. I've got these are the yellow, orange and brown one. So we'll grab the yellow one first. Now open your ink pads, move the cards so they don't get all messed up. And I've just got ink all over me already. And look at that, I put yellow ink on it. At least it went in the right place. So just pick up some ink with your daubers and dab off some. So you just get off some of that heavy stuff to start with. And just, you can choose once again to do the emboss side or the deboss side. We're just going to use the emboss side and just swipe the colors. I prefer to color them with the daubers because I feel you can control the areas you're inking more. So just continue adding as much color as you like with them. And the ink will go into the contours of the embossing areas. Now, it's just a question, while I'm doing this, how do you hold your sponge daubers? I tend to put it on my finger. It's a finger dauber. But I've been watching some videos lately where the person has been holding it in their fingers. So I'm curious, what way do you use them? Do you use them? Which way do you prefer to color? All right, so we can continue doing that. I'll speed up the video a little. Now we'll grab our orange. We're going to add just a little touch of the orange at the edge of the petals. Inside edge you want. Dab it off and just light, you only want a little light touching. It just adds some extra dimension to your petals. Whoops, that was a little too much. That's why we need to dab them off, because it gets a little heavy. Now our brown, I'm using the pecan pie for this one. Well, I just realized that I have used the brown dauber for the orange. Never mind, it didn't look out of place. At least I didn't use a green one or something. So that's why we label them. But then you got to read the labels. Never mind. We're going to now do the brown. So just for the centers, and you can add extra to highlight those dots. You can keep going with that. It starts to add depth to it. I haven't finished the yellow there, but that's okay. I'm just going to lightly add the brown to the center of that one. We're going to add it to this one. Keep going back as much as you want, and I can finish these later, but I'll just quickly add some green now. I just wanted to show you how to do that. Make sure we've got our green this time. Let's now add some green. Sorry for that noise if you can hear in the background. We have a howling wind here today, but the show must go on and I needed to get the video done. So hopefully it's not too disruptive for you. Now this one's an old dauber. It's starting to fall apart. I've just got some new daubers. So that is why we're starting to get a little flaky. So we'll just gently add some green to our leaves this time. You can go back into it with add some depth. That highlights the veins of the leaves. And we can keep going with that. Let's just bring the cards back in again. So you can add more detail, keep building up your colors. You can add more depth to it with the Stampin' blends if you're using the blends. Or just highlight a section of it and color that. But a tip, don't forget to add that blue. I've used the Balmy Blue Stampin' blends to really lift that background. That will make a real difference when I finish that card. So that is coloring with your folders. Our next technique, number 3, we have swiping, ink swiping. We've got the finished card that I've done, and you can just see areas of the card, the pattern, has been highlighted. So this one, we have gone over it with the ink. This is the embossed side, but don't forget the different look that you will get by doing the debossed side. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So grab some card. This time I'm going to use the Balmy Blue. And do I use the embossed side or the debossed side? I think I'm going to show you how it looks with both. Let's be adventurous. I'm using Night of Navy on the Balmy Blue. You just want to go a section at a time, and we're going to swipe up, hold the card firmly, and starting off the card, swipe up. And you can see that it gets adds to the pattern of your card. You're going to get a little ink in the areas, but that's okay. That is the embossed side. You can keep adding more color if you want to. Let's see how it looks on the debossed side. So we'll flick that over. And now we're getting all blue and inky this time. We're going to give that a swipe. This time, it adds ink into those lower areas. Well, what would normally be the lower areas on the debossed. And it makes those sunflowers sink down. Trick is trying not to get too much ink on your fingers, so holding parts of the card. Now this can be quite a striking statement, I think. Keep going over it as much as you like. We're going to leave that there. That just gives you that effect of how to really highlight. You can just use that on its own on your card, just like I've used on this happy birthday card, just by choosing which side you want. But let's take that a little bit further. Excuse all the blue ink. Now you can color that section. This time I've gone through and swiped on the debossed side. I've used the crumb cake on white card for that. You can see how that's all in the background areas. Then by grabbing your Stampin' Blends, you can actually add more color to your card by using coloring in the sections of the flowers and the petals, the leaves. So just by adding extra color to your card, it changes the whole look, doesn't it? So that is our ink swiping technique. All right, how are we going with them all? We have more. This time we are doing double embossed. Number 4, double embossed card. Now this time, can you see the shine? I hope you can. I've embossed the card. I've used the bubble bath card for this one. And then I've gone over it. I've swiped it just like we did before, but I've swiped over it with the Versamark this time. And then gold embossed for some little shine. Now, when you're swiping it, you're going to just do it very gentle. You will get some Versamark in the areas, and those stray flecks will stick to there. So once you emboss it, tip over your card. I've then gone with a paintbrush and just swiped out some of those powder from the areas I didn't want it at. You can do as much. You might just want tips of the petals. I might suggest that you use a dauber, just like we've used with these. Have a dauber for your Versamark. You can control where the Versamark lies by just swiping on the tips. So have a dauber for that. Then you can tip over your card, because swiping with the Versamark pad, the ink goes everywhere, and it can add that extra stray look if you didn't want it to be too messy. But there's our double embossing technique. I haven't finished a card with that one, but it gives you an idea of how it looks. All right, number 5, simple embossing. Emboss your folder, your card. It can be a white or a plain color with the embossing folder, just a section, and add it to the front of your card. It doesn't need too much coloring, but you might see a little sparkle. I hope you can see that sparkle up here. I've used the Wink of Stella pen just for the center of the sunflowers. Of course, a sparkly butterfly. I've just used a front arch card for this one, just a different fold, and highlighting part of the embossing folder for the card section. So just don't feel you have to color it or distress it all the time. Simply add it to the front of your card. Number 6 we are up to. This is probably my favorite technique. It is called the white ink swipe technique. Look at these cards. Just using dark color card with the white ink over the top of it adds a total different look to it. I've used the pretty peacock color here. What do you think? I'm going to show you how to do this. And this is on Blackberry Bliss. However you want to use it, I'm going to show you. So let's grab your card. So I've already embossed your card. This one's Blackberry Bliss with using your embossing folder. I'm going to get some ink. Now, rather than use the ink pad, I prefer to use the Whisper White ink refill and using a sponge dauber. So grab a block, and we're just going to grab some scrap paper too. It's always handy to have some scrap paper by your side when you're stamping. So just add, hopefully you can see that. Let's have a look, make sure it's all in view, because I hate to show all this and then you're not even seeing it. And just add a little bit of the ink on a clear block or a clear surface. I find that the white ink pad, it's just hard to get enough ink up to use it. So you could put the ink refill, some ink in the tray of your ink pad, but you can just use a block as well. So just grab some ink, dab some off if you want to, just to lighten it. And we're going to very lightly swipe over the, where you can see all the texture of the embossed areas. So the flowers, it will really start to come to life. Do as much or as little. So you can see that I've still got quite a bit of ink on the dauber. So you really don't need a lot. I'm dabbing some more off because it's getting a bit too thick. So grabbing that, going right around. So you can just go around and dauber it with the white ink, and you need to let it dry once you have finished that, and then you can add it to your card however you like. I'm going to show you the finished cards again in a minute. See, I haven't really had to refill the dauber too much again because it holds a lot of the ink and we don't want to add too much to it. So we're going to add some more. Can you still see that? So let's check that out. This would be really nice to this effect if you have some of that shimmer paint. I still have some, I must dig that out. But then by doing that, you'll also have that shimmer and shine to it, that sparkle. That would look so good. I should have done one of those to show you today. But so if you've got some shimmer, try that idea. Just applying it with a dauber because you can control where the ink sits and how much you want to do it on it. Keep on adding that. Look at that. This is my favorite of the techniques. I would love to know what your favorite is. Tell me in the comments. I'm sure there's so many more ways of using these embossing folders. So we can keep going with that, add as much as you want. What do you think of that? Now you can just wipe that off your ink pad to clean it. I'm blue and white and red and all kinds of colors on my fingers. Let's get that out of the way. Let's not knock over the light. So there you have your ink, white ink swipe. Look at those. But let's take this idea to the next level. I'm going to show you something else. While this is really lovely and makes a statement, let's pull out this for you. What do you think? So this is embossed on black card. I've swiped it over with the white ink just as I showed you in that one. Leave it dry. You need it several hours, overnight, a few days. Let it dry. Then I have come back and colored this with, I've used the watercolor pencils, coloring in pencils, whatever you have. I've got these ones that I've used, the different colors. And just look at that against the black, against the dark background. I can't wait to add that to another card, which I'll put together soon. Look at the depth of color in that. It really adds to it. So I did try and use the Stampin' blends, but I found that they just soaked into the card. You couldn't get that real depth of color with it. So what do you think? Let's bring some of these cards back in. You have the, we'll go right from the beginning. We have the distressing, we have the coloring, Number 2 is with the colouring. We have the ink swipe. Can you see all these? Let's make sure they all get in the same way. We have the double embossed. We have plain embossed. You can dress up the card though, add your own little shimmer on it. And then a white ink wipe. Look at that, you've got the pink coming through even with that. It needs to dry a lot. There's our finished card. I'd love to know what one is your favorite. I'd love to know if you try them. It's so exciting, so fun to have a play. So if you need supplies and you're in Australia, stop by my store or contact me directly, and I will see you next time in the next video. Let's see what we do next time. Happy crafting. Bye.